see what ingredients we need first. I call it a day-old dough. A friend of mine, he makes pizza for a living, so he told me if you make the dough a day before, just the same formula, whatever, and you add flour, water, and yeast, and just let it sit for like overnight, it's good for at least a day or two, and then you add it to whatever dough that you're making. It can be bread, it can be buns, but it just, the texture is much better, and it helps the dough become ready much sooner than if you were just to start from the scratch the day of. First of all, of course, you need a flour. We have the all-purpose flour here, and then I like it a little bit sweeter for my family, so I usually add in confectioner's sugar or sugar powder because it's easier to melt, so it gives the bread more consistent texture instead of, you know, it doesn't melt if you use coarse sugar. Instead of just using water, I mix in a little bit of milk, usually milk more than the flour a little bit, and you just add as you see how the dough is coming together. And of course, my day-old dough for the fermentation. And a little bit of butter, and you have to let it sit on the counter to come to room temperature so it's easier to work with. The recipe that I'm showing you guys, it's only for 1 loaf of bread because we don't eat bread fast enough. So I just make one. It usually lasts anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks. And if there's leftover after a week, usually I freeze it. So let's get started. So let's put in 11 ounces of flour. 11 ounces is about 300 grams. So I just put in 30 grams of sugar. Then I'll put in my day-old dough. I'm gonna save some for a different recipe I'm gonna make later today. So I'm just gonna use half. You can see that it's pretty stretchy, but it doesn't stick to your fingers. I mean, my gloves or the bowl, so you can just let it sit for a little bit. But remember to put saran wrap or a wet towel over it so it doesn't dry up. Until the dough becomes twice the size, we'll let it rest and then move on to the next step. You can see it got much bigger than 2 times the size, which is okay, and it's incredibly soft. What we want to do is right now just punch out all the carbon dioxide that was produced while it was fermenting. You can preheat your oven to 200 degrees or 170, which is the lowest setting on my oven, and just pop it in there and turn off the oven. The warm temperature in there would help it double in size much faster. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So you can see that when I put the finger in, it doesn't quite coming back as the shape before anymore, which means the second fermentation is done. Make sure now you're working with a dusted surface. So fold it like this, like 3 times. So we wanted to put the rolled up side on this end and the other one on the opposite turning point so that they can both inflate and fill up the space. So put it in and just let it rise up. Because I'm not putting a lid on it, so it's best to wait until it's about 1 inch above the mold. Now we're just gonna have to wait another 20-30 minutes in this greased pan, but cover it with saran wrap to keep the moisture in. Now that it's heated to 350 degrees, let's pop it in the oven. The fermentation will continue once you put it in the oven still, so it will usually come out a little bit taller and bigger than when you first finished fermenting and then pop it in the oven. While it's still hot, I like to brush on a little bit of butter So it's shiny on the outside and also keeps the moisture in better.